Attention all wrestling fans, get ready for the ultimate fan experience at the WCBS WrestleMania Fan Meetup in Los Angeles, California from March 30th through April 2nd. This event will bring together the biggest event in wrestling and your favorite podcast, as well as diehard fans from all over the world. This is the perfect opportunity for fans to connect and celebrate their love of the sport as well as their love of us. So mark your calendars, grab your tickets, and get ready to suck it and join us live. Don't miss out on the ultimate fan experience of the WCBS WrestleMania Fan Meetup weekend in LA. And if you're not a wrestling fan, there will be other YouTube creator events, including a trip to the brand new Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios. So listen to World Class Bullshitters Live for more updates, and for more information, email worldclassbs@mail.com. Thebestmail.com, jabroni. It seems like Disney can't catch a break these days. The streaming is hurting, partly due to cricket, partly due to the economy, and partly due to brand dilution. Hold on a second, that's a little fudged. Hold on here. Oh, that says brand destruction.
The following is a World-Class Bullshitters exclusive.
There aren't many things guaranteed in this life, but it's guaranteed that Ant-Man is a disappointment to Marvel due to its massive financial shortcomings. We've covered the historic drop, we've talked about the implications, but there's more on the horizon, and it's not good at all. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is the first part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Phase 5, but it's not starting off on the right foot. Beyond its tepid at best reviews, the film is also underperforming at the box office. That continues on a downward trend for Marvel Studios' shared universe, and it may only get worse. Quantumania has a lot riding on it. Despite it being a sequel to the more low-key Ant-Man films, its negative fallout is seeing it break the MCU records in all the wrong directions, and the movie could definitely end up being a flop. With so much still up in the air for Marvel's future, this isn't exactly the boost of confidence the studio needed to get things back on track. Superman vs. Batman: Dawn of Justice was incredibly controversial, with many seeing its poor reception and contentious nature among even hardcore DC fans as being the moment in which the DC Extended Universe was doomed. The reception got reflected at its box office intake, with the film experiencing a 69% drop in revenue in its second weekend in theaters. Quantumania has done even worse, with its 69.7% second weekend drop having a much smaller intake than the DC flick. Many had debated whether the third Ant-Man film will make $100+ million domestically in its opening weekend, and while it pulled this off, so far, it's been downhill from here. The film is currently underperforming everywhere, with its domestic haul actually being something of a bright spot. Quantumania is a certified flop in countries like China, which were once major markets for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Alternatives, Cocaine Bear and the film Jesus Revolution, might not seem like actual competition, but they did surprisingly well in their opening weekends compared to the drop-off for Quantumania. This competition is only going to get worse, with Creed 3 and other upcoming films squashing what remains of Ant-Man 3 like a bug. But while things don't bode well for the Paul Rudd movie, it could be even worse for the MCU. One major complaint about the multiverse saga is the Marvel Cinematic Universe is not as connected as it used to be following Avengers Endgame. Quantumania villain Kang the Conqueror is supposed to be the new Thanos, but he's only getting introduced in a film he arguably shouldn't have been in at all. And when compared to the script and special effect issues plaguing the movie, it's no wonder that even some diehard MCU fans are giving the flick a tepid reception. That's showing up now at the box office, and it's part of an unfortunate decrease in interest in the shared universe. The only recent MCU movie to perform at the same level or above its predecessor is Spider-Man: No Way Home, the only Phase 4 film to make $1 billion or more. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness escaped making $1 billion and mainly rode the nostalgia/cameo hype of No Way Home. Thor: Love and Thunder disappointed many, which saw its box office suffer. And many of these films had featured fan-favorite heroes who had been seen since the earliest moments of the MCU. If their and Ant-Man's adventures aren't drawing crowds anymore, it could spell doom for what Marvel Studios plans next. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is likely a lock in terms of being a success, as those films' popularity almost transcend the MCU. Unfortunately, the deck is stacked against the recently delayed The Marvels, which notably connects the two Disney Plus shows. Likewise, it remains to be seen whether the mantle swap will play out for the general public, as Captain America: The New World Order will feature Sam Wilson as the new Cap. All the while, fans have clamored for the X-Men to be introduced, with the Mutants and Spider-Man being perhaps the only Marvel properties that still grab instant attention. Even that might not be enough for Deadpool 3, which will notably be R-rated. Still, it would seem that the masses are now more selective with the MCU films they flock to see. With poor reviews and a lack of fan-favorite heroes, a hole that Marvel Studios might not be able to dig itself out of in time to end things with a bang in Avengers: Secret Wars. With box office and interest slipping, it becomes a question of the level of diminishing returns parent company Disney is willing to put up with. Whew! That is severe. We weren't talking about this last year. I know it seems we talk about MCU fatigue a lot, but folks, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for Ant-Man at the box office. Now, let's look at those numbers for just a second, because there's something shocking in all of this, and it's not what you think. Ant-Man's made $447 million from a $200 million budget. According to Hollywood accounting, to find the break-even point, the magic formula is 2.5 times the budget, and that equals break-even. So Ant-Man barely succeeded there. But the movie has no momentum. It's dead. It's no more. It ceases to be.
Hello, Polly! Wakey! Rise and shine! This is your 9 o'clock alarm call!
Even in its second weekend, Ant-Man lost Friday to Cocaine Bear. Apparently, Marvel skipped leg day because this movie was so weak it didn't continue on. The talk about the historic drop was interesting, but there's something else interesting, in a bad way. Adjusted for inflation, Ant-Man did worse than Shang-Chi. You know, the film that can't sell an action figure to save its life? Shang-Chi made about $432 million at the box office, which placed it near the bottom of the list. But if you adjust its box office for inflation, it beats Ant-Man by about $30 million. That's a lot of tickets, which means that's a lot of people who skipped this film. There's a reason for these articles predicting the end of the MCU. Folks, it's here. Last night at the Oscars, Disney promoted Disney Plus like you wouldn't believe, but they only showed the best of the best, the stuff from the past. They don't show you the new stuff like She-Hulk, Shang-Chi, and the current crop of Marvel heroes. No, they show you Iron Man and Captain America, superheroes they elevated from B-list status and made them household names. Of course, a highlight reel commercial is going to only show the best parts, but that's the content from the past. We're talking about Marvel's future, or its inevitable demise. It'll be interesting to see if Ant-Man toys clog up shelves like other MCU failures. It should be noted that there are currently no action figures available for this film. They're available for pre-order, but something doesn't seem right. Now, I'll just spare you the long, detailed speech, but release dates for toys vary from site to site. And for Ant-Man, some say July, some say August, but none of them say available now. This is a problem for Marvel because they don't normally release movie tie-in figures 6 months after release. They do that for some figures, but not for some movies. Spider-Man No Way Home had a toy line that featured 4 characters from the film and Miles Morales from the video game. Those were available when the film was released. Over a year later, more and more figures are still getting made, but there were toys available at launch. Ant-Man has nothing. Just like The Rise of Skywalker, there's no toy line to support this film while it's still in theaters. Black Panther Wakanda Forever has toys that aren't moving, but they're available for purchase before the film. Shang-Chi had toys before the film. They all did. If you're looking at the MCU legacy figures, those movies had support at launch. Back in the day of Phase 1, the figures all came from Hasbro, but they all had separate lines. In the modern day, all the MCU figures are part of the Marvel Legends lineup, and they all have figures at launch with the movie, except one. Delays aren't unheard of in the toy industry. They're common, except for MCU toys. They put out the figures to get people to buy the toys when there's hype for the movie. Look at Wakanda Forever. That film had a ton of toys, but they didn't sell. Ant-Man and Wakanda Forever had roughly the same budget. Did Marvel know one was a turd, or both were a turd? They're killing trust in their brand if they knew that. Will it be the same for Guardians of the Galaxy 3? That film is a part of Phase 5. Is Marvel trying to hide that inevitability too? Maybe, but not at retail. Guardians of the Galaxy has a new toy line coming out, and those are up for pre-order now. And would you look at that? They're coming out next month, just in time for the movie in May. Marvel knows where their bread is buttered. Too bad it fell spread side down, and now the MCU is looking like a trip across the kitchen floor, and you didn't sweep. So it's definitely just Ant-Man when it comes to merchandise. Marvel knew the movie was a turd, but they still released it. That weighs poorly on the brand and Phase 5 as a whole. Marvel knows this lineup is crap and they wanted to minimize the loss at retail. I don't know if these will even hit store shelves. Marvel figures are now single-packed, which means a box full of Ant-Mans, a box full of Wasps, a box full of Kang. That sounds like a great album, actually. Since no one saw the film, those toys will just sit there on shelves. Retailers have the option not to buy the MCU figures, and well, I don't think they will. Disney Plus isn't going to get people to buy figures. Look at She-Hulk. Or don't. If these actually get released, the comic figures will end up at retail and the discount chains will buy up the movie figures. Expect a lot of Ant-Man and Ollies around Christmas and early next year, folks. Marvel has never been this low. Articles like the one from earlier keep popping up, and there's even more talk about concern for the next Captain Marvel film. Maybe Guardians will fix it, but if that film fails to deliver, the MCU is deader than disco. Shout out to my friend Sal from 2 Cent Toys and Laser Pants from 3POA for some information needed on this video. Folks, check out both of their channels. I'll put the links in the description below. So folks, I want to know what you think about all of this. 3 questions below. 1, were you aware that Ant-Man didn't have a toy line? 2, did you go see Ant-Man? And 3, what are your opinions on Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Is that the movie that's going to get you to go out and support the MCU? Or 4th question, are you just done with Marvel across the board? I don't think it's a bad thing to be done with Marvel across the board. I did find it interesting in that article how they brought up Batman versus Superman, and yeah, that really was the high watermark for the franchise, and the Zack Snyder DCEU, whatever you want to call it, was just a limping mess till the end. I know there are Snyder acolytes out there that think those films are great, and if you like them, awesome, more power to you. I'm not here to knock your taste in movies. But to act like they were the big achievement that some people like to act like, well, that's just disingenuous and wrong. Just like the Ant-Man stuff. It is not a successful film, and Marvel is not in a good place, and it's not wrong to say those things. It's not being a hater, it's just telling the obvious and the truth. So Marvel, Disney, it's going to be an interesting time for those guys. But folks, we're going to be enjoying ourselves the entire time because it makes for great, great entertainment. And you know you want more of this great entertainment, so hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss anything from WCBS, and hit the bell notification so you get it as soon as it goes live. Why wait for good stuff? You don't have to. You can get WCBS all the time directly to your inbox. Just hit that bell. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up button to tell YouTube you know that you like this content. And one last thing, if you love this content and you feel like, hey, I want to be a part of the change, join the membership program. A couple bucks a month goes a long way. It gives you access to exclusive videos. It gives you content that you don't get anywhere else on YouTube. And folks, it gives us the chance to make more for you guys. So hit that join button and join us over there on the WCBS membership program. If you're a comic book fan, I know you love X-Men the Animated Series, and this week I'll have an interview with X-Men the Animated Series writers Julia and Eric Lewald. We had a great interview last week, and it's going to go live this week. So folks, the only way to get that is to be a member of our membership program or a Patreon page, because this is a reward for all those who want to help WCBS go the extra mile. So folks, thank you for watching. We'll be back next time with more, but in the meantime, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other. Thanks for watching today's video. Yes, it's over, but don't cry because there's more, a lot more from World Class Bullshitters, and there's only one way to get it. Hit that subscribe button below. When you do that, you'll get notifications and updates from World Class Bullshitters every time we go live. Basically, you won't miss anything. And if there's one thing I hate, it's FOMO. But the thing most people hate more than FOMO is fear of missing out on World Class Bullshitters, because there's just some things you can't undo. So folks, do yourselves a favor and never miss anything from World Class Bullshitters. One last thing before you go, hit the thumbs up button. Not for our egos, no, they're big enough as this, but it does help us fight the algorithm here, and well, it's man versus machine, and that's the real fight. But if that's not your battle, that's okay. There's one last way you can help WCBS, and that's going over to shopwcbs.com, picking up a t-shirt, a beer glass, a sweatshirt, a poster, all sorts of ways to back WCBS. The difference between us and other YouTube channels is I'm the artist that makes all this stuff, so if you enjoy art, beyond t-shirts, you can even read our comic books. We got it all. We're called the epitome of pop culture for a reason, and no, again, it's not for our egos. So folks, make sure you're involved with every aspect of World Class Bullshitters, not just for us, but do it for yourself. We're making the change in entertainment everybody out there wants to see. And a special thank you goes out to all of our wonderful patrons who make this content possible. Go to patreon.com/worldclassbs to get involved and help out the channel.